Hello and welcome to the latest episode in the TEW 2020 InVasion story. And sorry, this is a completely stripped down, non-visual episode, I apologise. I will explain all following the conclusion. There's lots to talk about, but speaking of a lot to talk about, tonight, this is the episode Rory's War, and is the fallout from last night's fully loaded pay-per-view. So cold open to the show, as Vince McMahon greets Big Boss Man and Chris Hero in the parking lot. The chairman tells the new tag team that he's grateful for Big Boss Man and Hero's contribution in helping Triple H's team defeating Chris Jericho and the Radicals in last night's 10-man tag team elimination match, and thus getting rid of Chris Jericho and the Radicals from the WWF. Vince asks Bossman and Hero for a favour. The chairman needs to go to the ring in a few moments, as he has an important announcement to make in Phoenix. But Vince knows that Stone Cold Steve Austin is on his way to the arena and will no doubt be gunning for Vince after Vince turned his back on Austin. The chairman tells the Cobb County Georgia native and the newcomer that if they can take care of Stone Cold when he arrives tonight, Vince will promise to make it worth their while. Bossman and Hero agree as Vince walks away. Thorning Her Eye plays in the intro, leading to Pyro hitting the stage. Tonight, Rory's War emanates from the Veterans Coliseum in Phoenix, Arizona. Jim Ross and Paul Heyman are on commentary. Tonight's announced matches see new tag team champions X Factor defend their tag team titles in a rematch against the Dudley Boys. No tables in tonight's rematch. We'll also see Molly Holly challenge Aja Kong for the women's title, and Haku, one of the 5 superstars of Triple H's team who won that 10-man tag team elimination match last night, cash in his title opportunity when he faces Matt Hardy for the European title. We know Vince is on his way out to the ring to announce who the new WWF Commissioner, but we don't know why did he turn his back on Stone Cold Steve Austin. We'll also see new WWF Champion The Rock, who is on his way to Phoenix, and we'll also hear from Eric Bischoff, who shot Las Vegas when he interrupted The Rock's celebrations at the conclusion of Fully Loaded. There's no Linda McMahon here tonight. It's unsure if we'll see Shane McMahon tonight. And will we see Stone Cold Steve Austin get his revenge on Vince tonight? All this and more as Rory's War gets underway. And we're not going to waste a moment to have our questions answered, as out comes former WCW President Eric Bischoff. Bischoff, or Eazy-E as he's sometimes known, tells the WWF audience that, as WCW President, he was this close to putting the WWF out of business. If one was to look at the ratings during the Monday Night Wars, they would note that for the latter part of 1996, the whole of 1997, and the first quarter of 1998, WCW's flagship TV show, Monday Nitro, was a superior product to WWF's Monday Night Raw. And whilst revisionist thinking would suggest Bischoff is to blame for the demise of WCW, it was not his fault, he says. It was backstage politics, corporate bigwigs, and a soon-to-be catastrophic merger that Bischoff predicts. That's going to happen. Just you wait, he says. But Eric is glad WCW is alive, and it's under the ownership of Shane McMahon, because, funnily enough, it was McMahon that rang Bischoff last Monday night to help McMahon in the battle between WCW and WWF. Bischoff tells Phoenix, you can't have WCW versus WWF without the former president, and this time Eric Bischoff plans to make sure the battle between WCW and WWF ends the way it should have ended. Not because of some stupid merger, not because of corporate bigwigs, but this time it will end where it was supposed to end, in the ring. Jim Ross and Paul Heyman think to themselves, so Bischoff's with Shane, he's with WCW. And it's only a matter of time to see if their thoughts are correct, as out comes Shane McMahon. It was unclear if Shane would make it to Phoenix following that gruelling street fight match he had with Kurt Angle. It's a wonder how Shane is still standing, but now he's standing in the ring with Eric Bischoff, and he doesn't look best pleased with Eric. He wants to know what Eric is up to, but Shane claims he didn't ring Eric last week to aid Shane in the war against WWF. In fact, Shane does not want Eric Bischoff associated with WCW anymore. This is Shane's WCW, not Bischoff's. And this time, Shane is going to make World Championship Wrestling the go-to company for professional wrestling, something Eric could only wish he could do. But Eric continues to smile when Shane asks what Bischoff is up to. The confusion is evident, but out comes the chairman Vince McMahon. And he doesn't look too happy either, and he's directed his gaze at Eric Bischoff. Vince tells Bischoff that he just can't help himself, can he? That Bischoff has to go around gloating that he was this close to beating WWF as WCW's president. He was so close to putting the WWF out of business, and that Bischoff's underhanded tactics nearly cost Vince and his WWF employees their livelihoods. Vince calls Eric a son of a bitch, which gets a rare cheer for the chairman, until his next comment, when Vince tells Eric that Eric is a son of a bitch that Vince can admire. Vince turns to Shane and says, "You're right, Shane. I know it wasn't you that called Eric Bischoff last week, because it was me that called Eric Bischoff last week." Vince tells Phoenix that he wants rid of WCW, and who better to have on board to get rid of WCW than the man that knows WCW the best. Vince then makes his announcement. "You know, it takes a son of a bitch to be successful in this business. So from one son of a bitch to another, I give to you the new WWF Commissioner, and his name is Eric Bischoff." An outpouring of boos from the Phoenix crowd, and even a shake of the head from Shane. Vince continues to talk to the audience about how he and Eric are going to work together to take talent from WCW before the talent of WCW ever get a chance to join Shane's company. But the boos become cheers as Shane exits the ring, with his eyes widened and mouth in a full-blown smile. As Vince is talking, Austin, on the Titantron, he's entered the arena and he's taking care of Bossman and Hero with ease. Hero's head bouncing off the hood of a vehicle, Bossman Irish whipped into a shutter. Vince isn't seeing this on the Tron, he's laughing at Shane retreating from the ring and tells Eric to look at Shane. Only for Vince to notice Eric has left the ring too, and he's telling Vince to look at the Tron. Austin has left Bossman and Hero down and out, and the fans are begging for the glass to shatter as they chant his name. Indeed, the glass does shatter, and out comes the Texas Rattlesnake with a sneer and a spring in his step. You've got to believe he's going to lay holy hell on the chairman. Austin gets in the ring, stares at Vince with a sadistic smile. Before his smile fades, Austin takes one step forward as Vince is frozen on the spot. Austin, he throws his arms around Vince. He's giving Vince a hug. Vince is stunned, and not in the way the fans would want either. But Vince isn't exactly reciprocating with the hug. Austin lets go and can be faintly heard telling Vince, "I forgive you. I forgive you." Austin walks back up the ramp. Vince is as surprised as anyone else. Why has Austin hugged the man that refused to help the now former WWF Champion? A bombshell to open Raw. Bischoff is a new WWF Commissioner, and Vince has survived a beatdown from Austin. We're not in Vegas anymore. But again, Vince must feel like he's won the jackpot. One of the title changes witnessed at Fully Loaded last night came in the form of the tag team titles. X Factor gained the better of the Dudley boys at the Dudley's own game, the tables match with interference from Albert, and then later just Incredible, allowing X Pac to put Bubba Ray through the table to win. Interference is the name of the game in this tag team title rematch. However, it's botched interference from Spike Dudley that's going to cost the Dudley boys this time. The referee is distracted by X Factor as Albert slides in the ring and takes out Bubba with a vicious clothesline from behind. Devon is in the corner. Albert is about to deal with Devon until Spike comes in ready to charge at Albert. Now Albert's not the most agile of superstars, but he's quick enough to get out of the way, leading Spike to accidentally take out Devon with a splash. Spike has his head in his hands and soon turns around to walk into an Albert karate kick. Devon stumbles out the corner and walks into a double super kick, aka X marks a spot, and it's the legal man Just Incredible pinning Devon for X Factor to make their first retention of their second WWF Tag Team title reign. We're in an unknown location backstage. A dimly lit office as Regal is sat in a chair with The Undertaker questioning the former commissioner about what he saw at the beginning of Fully Loaded last night. Regal was one of the four witnesses who happened to see a bloody and battered Kane backstage. Regal tells Taker that he came out of the locker room because he heard a commotion. He didn't see who attacked Kane, but he did see someone else in his visual range. And that man was Steven Richards. The American Badass tells William Regal to stick around, and if Taker finds out Regal was lying, then Regal will wish he was on the losing team in that 10-man tag team elimination match last night. A relief comes across Regal's face as The Undertaker storms out of the office. Also backstage, Kurt Angle is hanging out with Rhino, Edge and Christian. It seems Christian seems to have gained his mental faculties following that Undertaker beatdown to open Fully Loaded. But when asked about if he really caused this heinous attack to Kane, Christian says that he saw Kane, grabbed the steel chair for protection, and ran towards the entrance to the ring to get away from the big red machine when he heard a commotion. He turned round to see nobody there, but still had the chair in his hand when The Undertaker appeared round the corner. Kurt Angle meanwhile continues to gloat about what he did to Shane in their street fight last night, and how nobody should mess with Kurt because he's the man of the street, he's too legit. He tells Christian that it doesn't matter what happened to Kane last night or what The Undertaker did to Christian, because if Kurt can beat Shane in the manner that he did, just imagine what Kurt could do to Shane, or what Kurt could do to The Undertaker. Christian, Edge and Rhino look in bewilderment at Kurt's confidence, but unbeknownst to the four of them, Shane McMahon is also in camera shot, and he's heard everything that Kurt has said. Shane laughs and walks off, as if to suggest the light bulb has gone off in his brain, but Kurt, Edge, Christian and Rhino haven't seen Shane at all. The theme of Fully Loaded was centred around luck, and Haku may be the luckiest superstar having a title shot, as, per the stipulation of Haku's team winning last night, the Tongan was the first superstar actually eliminated in that match, despite being an eventual winner. Sadly, Haku's luck is about to run out, as Matt Hardy once again retains the European Championship with the twist of fate. For someone whose experience is more tag team than singles, this is all the more impressive how Matt Hardy's 3-month European title run is still going. A limo pulls up, the door opens, and a camera runs up the superstar to reveal the new WWF Champion, The Rock, arriving Phoenix. A great reaction for the Great One. The People's Champion has arrived, and we'll get to hear The Rock's thoughts as 7-time WWF Champion shortly. Stephen Richards walks into the dimly lit office. The former RTC leader looks around cautiously before a thick Texas accent can be heard screaming, "Sit!" Stephen jumps out of his skin, then immediately sits down. When the American badass asks for Stephen Richards' testimony, Richards can only stutter, but Stephen can muster enough of the English language to make sense, as he reveals to The Undertaker that he was seen walking down the corridor, looking to the right and seeing Chris Hero and Big Boss Man in fits of laughter, looking at something. When Stephen works out who Boss Man and Hero are laughing at, he sees a bloodied and battered Kane on the ground. Taker screams, "Damn it!" and immediately leaves the office. Richards breathes heavily with relief. Oh, Phoenix is a fitting name for tonight's location, as the people of Phoenix rise to their feet upon hearing the theme of the Great One, The Rock, new and now 7-time WWF Champion. Unprecedented, and surely one of the contenders for the greatest WWF Champions of all time. A recap shows the poetic justice in what led to The Rock's 7th WWF Championship, defeating Stone Cold last night in the same manner that Stone Cold defeated The Rock at WrestleMania 17. Chair shot after chair shot after chair shot, and then covering Austin for the 3 count. The Rock tells Phoenix that once again, the People's Champion has lived up to his guarantee. He made the promise of the promise of the promise, and he delivered again. And for the 7th time, The Rock, WWF Champion. But the Brahma Bull wants to know what the deal is with the man he beat for the WWF title. What's going on with Stone Cold Steve Austin? The Rock tells Phoenix how he's heard of some terrible love affairs. Let's see, there's Brad Pitt and Jennifer Aniston. There's also Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton. But the most sordid love affair of all is Vince McMahon and Stone Cold Steve Austin. The Rock reminds Austin again that with Vince in his corner, Austin will never be able to beat the Great One. But if Stone Cold feels like he's up for a WWF title rematch, The Rock says any place, any time. Just bring it! It's not Austin bringing it though. As speaking of new, out comes the WWF Commissioner, Eric Bischoff. Jim Ross says, "I guess we could call him Bish the Commish, eh?" Bischoff has already gotten into the mindset of McMahon, it seems. That is, Vince McMahon. Because Eazy-E has an announcement of his own. Vince revealed at Fully Loaded that the new WWF Commissioner will be making an announcement about the Japanese pay-per-view. And Eric is here to tell Phoenix that whatever happens between now and 12 days' time, next Saturday, the WWF title will be on the line in Osaka-jo Hall in Japan. And this special event shall be known as WWF Rashomon. But that's 12 days' time. Eazy-E, he's here, and he's got another big announcement that he wants conveying in the next 12 minutes. And that involves the WWF title. It's tonight's main event. But before Bish, the Commish, can proceed, he asks Stone Cold Steve Austin to come down to the ring. Austin obliges, and there are certainly no cheers for the Texas Rattlesnake on this occasion. Eric Bischoff realises the momentous task he has in proving himself, 1, as Commissioner, and 2, being loyal to the WWF. Eric knows he has to make an immediate impact, and seeing how Vince has a love of firsts, tonight we're going to have another first in Raw's main event. And this first involves the WWF Championship, and it will be The Rock defending the WWF title in a rematch against Stone Cold Steve Austin. Bischoff and Commish can feel the tension is palpable between The Rock and Austin, and he even admits to now knowing why the WWF were able to beat WCW eventually in the ratings, because of the tremendous history between Rock and Stone Cold. But all great stories must come to an end, and tonight this will be The Rock and Austin's final swan song. But if this is the final match between Rock and Stone Cold, why is this a first? Eazy-E tells Phoenix that tonight's WWF title match will be a first on Raw, because tonight's match is a 30-minute Iron Man match. A rare moment on Raw where everyone is on the same page. The fans love it. Austin and Rock smile at the match made. Bischoff has his hand in the air. Even JR and Heyman think, okay, I like that idea. So for the first time on Raw, an Iron Man match, but possibly the last time in history, The Rock going one-on-one with Stone Cold Steve Austin for the WWF Championship. Big Boss Man and Chris Hero are still in the parking lot, reeling from Stone Cold's beatdown earlier in the night, and the two discuss how they're going to get the revenge soon. But the Undertaker interrupts the pair and tells them, "Revenge? If you don't tell me about why you were laughing at my brother last night, it will be me getting revenge on both of you right now." Bossman tells Taker they were sorry for laughing at Kane last night, but the Big Red Machine was already down and out when Bossman and Hero saw him. The dead man holds up his hands and says, "Okay, sure, I believe you," before a right hand from the dead man to the faces of Hero and Bossman has the Undertaker laughing at their predicament. Taker telling the Cobb County, Georgia native and the rookie there's more of that to go around as the dead man walks away, continuing to laugh. Molly Holly would have been granted the first WWF Women's title shot had Jacqueline been able to slay the Japanese monster Aja Kong for the Women's title in Vegas last night. Alas, that wasn't to be, as Jacqueline was beaten and is now sadly retired. Molly, however, finds that she still has a Women's title shot, but unfortunately for Molly, 1, she's facing the behemoth Aja Kong for the title, not Jacqueline, and 2, she doesn't have the company of any manager or valet at ringside. Nevertheless, it's a valiant effort by the challenger, but not enough. It must be a tough challenge if Bull Nakano is trying to interrupt at ringside. But again, it's Aja Kong plus Huracan equals victory, and therefore another women's title defence. Aja and Bull continue the beatdown post-match on Molly following the women's title match, but a car crash sound effect can be heard, and out comes hardcore legend Mick Foley. Foley points at Aja, but why? Mick, he may have had a great ring-in career, and he's lost a few brain cells as a result of his extreme in-ring career. But is Mrs. Foley's baby boy aware that he can't challenge for the Women's Championship, right? Mick said he'd be bringing someone back to Raw tonight, and he signals for that person to come on down. And it turns out to be the 9th wonder of the world, Chyna. Chyna is back, and both Chyna and Mick walk down the ramp. Aja and Bull look at each other, and then look at Chyna. And then they both leave at the opposite ends of the ring, leaving Chyna and Mick to tend to Molly in the ring, whilst Aja and Bull backtrack up the ramp. Chyna points at Aja and then gestures having the women's title around the waist of the 9th wonder of the world. Surely the rematch between Aja and Chyna is coming, and it's coming soon. In the new WWF Commissioner's office, new Commissioner Eric Bischoff is on the phone, talking to the caller about how he's back and better than ever. He says this time he'll be on the right side of history when it comes to the World Wrestling Federation, and that he's been given an ironclad contract, a contract that stipulates that Bischoff will remain in the WWF for as long as WCW are around. Bischoff Commish plans to make things right this time, and tells the caller, apparently known as Mr. K, just to watch what happens. The Undertaker interrupts, Bischoff telling this Mr. K he'll call him back. But it turns out Bischoff wanted to see The Undertaker himself, and tells the dead man that the reason this Japanese pay-per-view next Saturday is called Rashomon is in honour of Kane. Undertaker tells Eric he doesn't trust him, but Eric understands respect is earned, and tells the dead man that he will deliver the perpetrator to Kane at Rashomon in 12 days. Then Eric hopes Undertaker will respect him then. Shane interrupts both Bischoff and Undertaker. The WCW owner, that is Shane, not Bischoff, tells the Undertaker that he may have an inkling Kurt Angle may be somehow involved in this mysterious attack on Kane. And Shane's reason for this is what happened to Shane at the hands of Kurt in Caesar's Palace last night, and with what Shane heard Kurt Angle say earlier about the Undertaker and Kane. More so about what Kurt did to Shane last night, Kurt could also do to the Brothers of Destruction. Taker storms off, presumably to find Kurt. Bischoff claims Shane is stirring the pot here, but Shane's reply to Bischoff is, pot, kettle, Bischoff. He's not amused with Shane's reply. An irate Triple H and wife Stephanie McMahon Helmsley march into Vince's VIP room with Vince inside. It seems the game is angry with Vince for what must be this changing of the trajectory. Vince turning his back on Austin. Triple H tells Vince that this isn't the way it was supposed to go down with Vince and the two-man power trip. But the chairman tells the cerebral assassin that Austin has forgiven Vince. Maybe there's a way that we can make tonight right. Maybe we can make things right. Triple H walks out with Stephanie, but not before telling Vince that the game is going to make this right, but he's going to make this right on his terms. The Undertaker rides down to the ring on his Harley, and he's not messing about. He calls out Kurt Angle for a fight, now. After a minute's pause and a dead man shouting, out comes Kurt. He gestures to Taker. You want me in a match? Okay. Kurt walks slowly down the ramp, and stops halfway, then points at Taker. Or rather, who's behind Taker? Taker, puzzled, turns around and walks into a gore from Rhino. It's then announced that tonight we will see the Dead Man and the Man Beast in a one-on-one match. Raven, in an unknown location backstage, stares into the camera. He foresaw victory for the team last night at Fully Loaded, and his new civilization foresees gold for Raven very, very soon. Quote the Raven, nevermore. JR and Paul Heyman speculate what title Raven could be referring to. His victory in that 10-man tag team elimination match last night entitles him to any WWF title shot of his choosing at any time. Michael Cole interrupts Stone Cold's thoughts and asks the Rattlesnake what the situation is with Vince McMahon, and will Vince help Austin in tonight's Iron Man match. Austin just blankly stares at Cole and walks forward as Cole retreats. Triple H can be heard yelling at Austin and then tells Michael Cole to beat it, Cole duly obliging. The game tells Austin that, despite Stone Cold forgiving Vince, the way the WWF title match went down last night at Fully Loaded was not right, and that's not how it should have ended. Austin says what's done is done. He knows Vince will make it right tonight. Triple H tells Austin that tonight it will be Triple H making this right. Austin smiles at the cerebral assassin, who shares his smile back. The two shake hands and walk off. The Undertaker vs Rhino match certainly isn't a one-sided affair like the Undertaker vs Christian match at Fully Loaded, but it seems the match was nothing more than just to get revenge on the Undertaker's actions tonight. Taker may have won this match against Rhino anyway, but he's attacked by the four witnesses of the attack, and Kane, Bossman, Hero, Regal and Steven Richards are all doing a number on the American Badass. JR wonders that this is surely an admission. It must have been one of them that attacked Kane. Or was it all of them? Bischoff Commish is in his office with some of the champions of the WWF. Matt Hardy, the European Champion, Rob Van Dam, the Hardcore Champion, and Rikishi, the Intercontinental Champion. Eazy-E expects the champions to deliver their best performances with Bischoff as Commissioner, but none of the champions are pleased to see Eric in charge. Things look worse for Eric when he encounters the Big Show now standing in the office. But Big Show smiles at Eric and offers his hand. Bischoff is happy with this and shakes Big Show's hand in response. The two look at the three champions. The 7-foot giant strokes his chin and thinking, which title should I challenge for? All three champions walk out with Eric telling Big Show, you let me know when and where, Big Show, and I'll make it so. We're now seconds from the main event, so for the third time ever in WWF history, for the second time in Rock's history, but for the first time tonight on Raw, an Iron Man match, 30 minutes, the rematch from Fully Loaded. One more time, one last time, The Rock versus Stone Cold Steve Austin. Now, as intense as the rivalry has been with Austin and The Rock, it has to be mentioned that because this is an Iron Man match, DQs and countouts do apply here. And it's a strategy that works for Stone Cold Steve Austin. Any chance that he can get to throw The Rock out of the ring and get the referee to count, he does so. Sadly, not the Stone Cold of old was seen tonight. In another twist of irony from their hellacious no DQ match last night, it's Austin taking off the cover of the Spanish announce table and hitting the Stone Cold Stunner on The Rock at the 10-minute mark. The referee's at a count of 5. All Austin has to do is get in the ring, and he does so at 8. Rock's still out. The referee's counted 10, and with 19 minutes and 47 seconds to go, Austin is up 1-0. But the count continues. Finally some movement from the Grey One, but he's got to get back in the ring, and before the referee can count 10 again, Rock slides back in. Austin can only look on in disgust as the Grey One grabs at the tights of Austin, trying to pull himself up. Austin, poised to hit a second Stone Cold Stunner, but The Rock counters, pushing Austin into the ropes, with Austin walking into a rock bottom. Fatigue is set on the champion and Austin, as both men are down. but both suddenly get back up and are back to exchanging hands before the ref can make a 10 count in the ring. Austin's game plan has somehow influenced the People's Champion. Austin has taken the elbow pad off the turnbuckle, and the referee hasn't seen it as he's turned into the Rock. When Austin walks towards the Rock, the People's Champion is back up, right hand after right hand after right hand, spinning to the right hand, the People's hand, and one more shot to the face, taking out Austin. The Rock leaves the ring and goes for the steel chair, but the referee's managed to wrangle the chair off the Rock and walks to throw the chair out of the ring. As the ref walks with the chair out to throw the chair out of the ring, the Rock, low blow on Austin, grabbing the head of the Texas Rattlesnake, ramming it into the exposed turnbuckle, spinebuster on the pine in the middle of the ring, and then the People's Elbow, which is successful, leading to 1, 2, 3. We're now at 1 apiece with 11 minutes and 33 seconds to go. But with 5 minutes remaining, Austin is desperate to grab the next fall. He hits Rock with a rock bottom, but the Rock manages to kick out a 3. Austin repeatedly slamming his hand on the mat as if to suggest the referee couldn't count fast enough. He stares at the official, but then turns his gaze back to the Rock, sizing up his opponent. Stone Cold Stunner denied. Rock pushes Austin away into the ropes. Austin comes back, Stone Cold Stunner by the Rock. Not like this, Heyman screams. 1, 2, 3. The Rock has taken the lead thanks to his opponent's finishing move. The indignity, thinks Jim Ross. With just 2 minutes to go, and even if this match is a match with DQs and countouts, both men, again, bloodied, battered and beaten. Exchanging of right hands. Austin tries to Irish whip the Rock. The Rock reverses. Austin runs into a Samoan drop. But all eyes are turned to the entrance as no chance plays on the Tron. Out comes Vince McMahon. Is he actually going to help Austin this time? The Rock's gaze is fully on the chairman, who walks towards the ring, albeit rather slowly. But this must be Vince's game plan, surely. The Rock doesn't know it. Austin's back up, sizing up the WWF Champion. Rock turns around, Stone Cold Stunner, and the pin. 1, 2, 3. Unbelievable. We're now at 2-2. There's a minute to go. But the tone of this match has taken it out on both The Rock and Austin, who lie in the middle of the ring. Vince grabs a chair, and this time he gets in the ring. The official is demanding Vince get out, but Vince isn't listening. He picks the chair up, and he looks like he's targeting Austin with the chair. What on earth is going on here? Is Vince here to help Austin or not? It's time to play the game as Triple H's team plays in the Tron. The game comes down, avec Sledgehammer, and he's livid with Vince. He gets in the ring, he looks at Vince, who holds his hands up. Triple H, in the ring, the official telling Vince and Triple H to get out. Rock and Austin are both stumbling to get up. Triple H punches Vince out of the way, and the game looks at Austin and nods. Triple H hits the sledgehammer to the face of the Rock, taking the Rock out, and Austin smiles, as Triple H does too. But the official has seen this. He rings for the bell, only for Vince to take out the referee with a steel chair. The announcer makes it known as the seconds are almost up. Your winner as a result of the disqualification, and then their following fall, The Rock. The Rock's up 3-2, and the match is almost over. 3, 2, 1. That's it. The match is done, and The Rock has won this match 3-2, and therefore retained the WWF title. But he looks anything like a champion with the way that this match has ended. The Rock lays out at ringside. Austin has heard the announcement and has realised what just took place. This wasn't helping Austin tonight. This was a setup. Triple H and Vince smile at each other as Austin looks bemused. Both the game and the chairman turn their gazes to Austin, with Triple H ramming a sledgehammer into the face of the rattlesnake. Vince laughs and walks around the ring as Triple H lays out Austin with mounted punches. The Cerebral Assassin tells Vince to pick up Austin as Triple H drives the sledgehammer into the stomach of the rattlesnake. Austin falling face first to the mat. And one more time, Triple H driving a sledgehammer, this time into the back of Stone Cold Steve Austin. What was a great Iron Man match has now been tarnished by interruptions from Vince and Triple H. And it's the chairman who picks up the mic, telling Phoenix that he apologises for explaining why he turned his back on Stone Cold to begin with. It was a couple of weeks ago on Raw where Austin demanded Vince make a choice. Vince could choose Linda, or he could choose Austin. Vince can't have both. But then it was also a couple of weeks ago where Austin's paranoia grabbed a hold of the Texas Rattlesnake so much that Austin decided to give Vince the Stone Cold Stunner. Vince claims that Austin claims to be surrounded by yellow belly bastards in the WWF. But the irony is that nobody was more yellow than Stone Cold Steve Austin. According to Vince, in fact, Stone Cold Steve Austin was Old Yeller. And what do you do with Old Yeller? You take him round the back of the house, you grab the shotgun, and you put the bullet right through the head of Old Yeller. Stone Cold Steve Austin. Vince remarks on his time with Austin as Vince's WWF Champion, and believes that when Austin, as the WWF Champion, working with Vince, was much more of a pain in the ass than what Austin was when he was WWF Champion, working defiantly against Vince. The chairman has one more announcement to make before Roy's War ends tonight, and in retrospect, this is what Vince should have done on Raw after WrestleMania 17, he feels, but he gets to do it tonight. So Stone Cold Steve Austin, "Under this moment, pal, you are suspended indefinitely." The last shot shows Triple H and Vince celebrate as Raw goes off the air. Austin is down and out in the ring as The Rock is down and out at ringside. Stone Cold out of the WWF title picture now, and with Triple H earning the right to a future title shot at any time, one has to believe it's now the game who will be coming for The Rock and the WWF Championship as Raw goes off the air. Ooh, 92, good stuff. A new coming out Fully Loaded ad to keep the momentum up again. The way I've designed the conclusion to the main event, which is Raw after Fully Loaded, is the closing of the circle that I mentioned about the Fully Loaded episode when comparing tonight to the Raw after WrestleMania 17. And that's Triple H joining Vince and Austin on Raw after WrestleMania 17, where The Rock gets suspended. And tonight it's Triple H and Vince taking out Stone Cold Steve Austin and now suspending Stone Cold, not The Rock. All deliberate by design. But now I can say that The Rock versus Austin feud has ended and has come full circle. We now move on from that. And one other thing to mention too about tonight. So we now know that Eric Bischoff is the WWF Commissioner and that the pay-per-view for Japan next Saturday is called Rashomon. Bischoff alluded to this being in reference to Kane getting attacked. Now, if you've heard of the film Rashomon, a Japanese film in 1950, I believe, you will know exactly where I'm coming from with this and the story behind it. But if not to worry, I'll explain more following the conclusion of the pay-per-view itself. Or I think I will, but it all depends on where I want to go with how I book the InVasion story going forward. So, let's address the elephant in the room. A stripped down video, no visuals, just a lot of text and talking. As you can tell, my voice is quite hoarse as well. I have to be honest, finding the time to do this now is just going to be so hard. When I was doing the videos up until and including the Fully Loaded pay-per-view, it helped that I was working a 0 hours contract and the shifts were 12 hours. So I had a fair amount of days off to try and get this done. But I'm now at a different job, full-time, 9 to 5, Monday to Friday. And I'm just finding this a little harder than normal. Just to get videos published. So, I'm just wondering, continuing future episodes, do I continue doing episodes like this format that I've done just now? Back to what it was like in the beginning, just going through each particular segment. Or maybe perhaps I just complete this InVasion storyline a little bit quicker. 2-part, maybe 3-part. More in the style of Adam Blompier's rebooking of the InVasion from his What Culture days, or in the same style as Samuel Coe did. Hello, Samuel, if you're watching this. Maybe that might be a more quicker version. Maybe I could include visuals into that. I don't know. I've so much planned for this where I think I've got a rough idea of where I want to go with SummerSlam and the matches. But it's just one of those things that I feel it's so good that you'd have to see it to believe it. I just don't think me talking is as effective. But I could be wrong with that, perhaps. But if you have any thoughts or feelings, let me know. Do I continue in this style? Do I do a 2, maybe 3-part InVasion style? In the style of Adam Blompier and Samuel Coe? If you have any thoughts, feelings, let me know. I have so much to tell with this story. So many wacky and impractical ideas. But man, I wish I was part of a Venn diagram where time and creativity and headspace were all joined together. I so want to complete this story, even if it's the last thing I do. So I'll leave you with that. But in the meantime, thank you so much for the feedback, for those commenting on the Fully Loaded show. And thank you for watching this episode. I hope you all had a great Christmas, happy holidays, however you celebrated, and Happy New Year too. So let's continue with the InVasion one way or another. As always, thank you so much for watching.